All right, folks. Thanks for checking out the video. I want to talk today about Democrat mayors and the Biden administration criticizing Texas Governor Greg Abbott for the so-called migrant crisis. Okay. So, headline here from the New York Post: Mayorkas Dems bash Greg Abbott on migrants, but leave him no choice. Says Democrats are blasting Texas Governor Greg Abbott for helping migrants travel to and overwhelm cities like New York, but they leave Abbott no choice. Team Biden, after all, won't lift a finger to stem the tsunami of migrants submerging his state. Instead, it's doing everything it can to make it impossible for Abbott to deal with the newcomers. The Biden administration has sued Abbott for putting up razor wire to prevent migrants from illegally crossing into Texas, and it also plans to oppose a new Texas law that will allow local law enforcement to deport those who have broken the law. You won't let them keep them out. You won't let them remove them when they're here. So why is it then Texas's responsibility alone to deal with the cost of this onslaught? The buses north are the only way to relieve the pressure on El Paso, Brownsville, Laredo, and other cities. And Dems like Mayor Adams in Chicago join in the Abbott bashing, but won't demand President Biden regain control of the border, only make matters worse for Abbott and themselves. Texas's leader won't cooperate with other governors and address the challenge facing the nation, huffed Homeland Security boss Alejandro Mayorkas on Wednesday. Abbott wants to disrupt, Adams railed Tuesday. This is a diabolical plan by this governor. What we can't have is a governor in the state of Texas acting the way he is acting, fumes Johnson. Sorry, but it's Mayorkas and Biden who created, intentionally, the very challenge they now lament. They could end the crisis overnight if they want, but their goal is to take in as many migrants as possible, with someone else paying for accommodations. The greater coordination they seek won't reduce the number of migrants flooding in and needing accommodation. It won't create more beds or produce more funds for them. Fact is, only one thing can ease the crisis mayors and governors face: stopping the surge. Yet Dems don't want that, or at least won't publicly demand it from Biden. Mayorkas, who now faces impeachment proceedings in the House for mishandling of the border, is covering for Biden when he shifts blame to Abbott. No one is buying it. So I thought this article laid out the situation pretty good. They talk about Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, facing impeachment proceedings for mishandling of the border, when, according to Joe Biden, according to the Democrats, he's handling it just fine. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Now, it just happens to be not in the best interest of the country, but it's in the best interest of what this administration wants, okay? And you're starting to see, people who wouldn't ordinarily support Governor Greg Abbott in cities like New York and Chicago and LA and Denver and on, that are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, we're a sanctuary city. And these Democrat mayors are bending over backwards. And suddenly these so-called migrants show up and the money's there, the services are there. But what about the citizens? What about the people who are paying for all this and are supposed to be the ones that are getting these services and actually providing the funds for it all? Well, you're just not as important as these migrants, you see. And it's interesting. Eric Adams calls Greg Abbott diabolical, right? But he's just dealing with the problem. Okay, for he's actually doing what's in the best interest of the state of Texas, which is what he was elected to do. So it's not diabolical for the Biden administration to allow hundreds of thousands and, over the course of time, millions of people to come into the country. That's not diabolical. But, Greg Abbott sending migrants to these sanctuary cities, which, what's a sanctuary city if you don't want to have illegals there? But now they're complaining about it. Okay. And it's just interesting that, instead of saying, hey, you know what, maybe this Governor Abbott has a point. And you know what? Yeah, this might buck our party, but we need to put an end to this. We need to do something. And instead of working with Greg Abbott, they're criticizing him because they're lackeys for the Democrat Party. And, this Mayor Adams, he says, oh, well, I can't get a meeting with Joe Biden and nobody will listen to me. And it's like, well, you have a platform. You're a member of good standing of the Democrat Party. If you came out and you said we need to close the border, that would actually have an impact. And if these Democrat mayors actually wanted to do something about it, that's what they would do. But they don't. They're complaining because they want to bail out from the federal government, and they're hoping to make just enough noise that they'll get some money sent their way to free up their budget for other things. They're totally fine with being a sanctuary city as long as they don't actually have to pay for it, actually providing the sanctuary. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind next time you see Brandon Johnson or Eric Adams or this Alejandro Mayorkas, complaining about Greg Abbott and other Republican governors, okay, who are actually doing what's in the best interest of their state, unlike these Democrat politicians. So, anyways, let me know what you all think. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.